For 20 years, the smartest men in football tried to cage one small Argentine. Mourinho drew up battle plans just to trap him. Pepe tried to snap his ankles. Italian coaches even invented a word for it: la gabbia, the cage. None of it worked. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud: the story you've been sold, the shy little boy, the gift from heaven, the fairy tale signed on a cafe napkin. That story is a distraction. It hides what he actually was. Not magic. A killer, the most cold-blooded competitor this sport has ever produced. One man saw it coming back in 2003, the same man who'd spend the next decade trying to stop him. You thought it was a compliment. It was a warning. So, let's go back. Strip away the 8 Ballon d'Ors, the World Cup, the statue they'll build him someday. Go back to where it actually started. It's 1987, Rosario, Argentina. A boy is born to a steelworker and a part-time cleaner. People love to call this a poverty story. It isn't. The family ate. The family worked. They were something more dangerous than poor. They were hungry in a country that was eating itself alive. Inflation that swallowed your wages while you slept. A place where you didn't plan for next year. You survived the week. And here's the lie they sell you next: that all that hardship made him humble. It didn't. Hardship doesn't make men humble. It makes them ruthless. Because the first thing that ever tried to stop Lionel Messi wasn't Mourinho. It wasn't Pepe. It was his own body. Barely 11 years old, and the doctors find it quietly refusing to grow. Remember that. The first cage they ever locked him in was his own skin. By the time he's a kid at Newell's Old Boys, everyone in Rosario already knows the name. He scores so many goals, the local papers start running stories about the tiny left-footer dribbling past boys twice his size. On his debut, he scores 4, just to set the tone. But that body that's refusing to grow, fixing it costs money. $900 a month, growth hormone injected every night for years. And Argentina is financially imploding. His family can't carry it alone. So his club steps in. Newell's, the club whose shirt he wears in every childhood photo. The club he loves. They agree to pay. And then they stop. Sit with that for a second, because everyone glosses right over it. The greatest player who ever lived almost never happened. Because the club he adored decided a sick child was too expensive. Now, you're supposed to feel heartbreak here. A sad little story. But watch what the kid actually does with it. He doesn't cry about it. He gets on a plane. September 2000. Barcelona. 1 trial match. He scores 6. He leaves grown men on the touchline so stunned they stop talking mid-sentence. The technical director watches him for 10 minutes and decides he's seen enough. That's the tell. That's the first real glimpse of what he is. Not a fragile boy chasing a dream. A 13-year-old who walks into a foreign country with ICE in his veins and coldly executes everyone in front of him to prove a point. December 14th, 2000. The deal gets sealed, not in a boardroom, on a paper napkin, in a cafe, scribbled onto something a waiter would have tossed in the bin. That napkin sold at auction in 2024 for over $900,000. A scrap of cafe trash turned into a religious relic. The boy who almost didn't exist had just signed for the biggest club on earth. Now here's where the worshippers want to hand you a fairy tale, a tiny genius touched by the football gods painting masterpieces every weekend. Beautiful story. It's also nonsense. 2008. Barcelona hands the entire club to a 37-year-old who has never managed a senior team in his life, Pep Guardiola. And Pep looks at this kid and makes a cold surgical decision. He pulls him into the middle, a false 9, everywhere and nowhere at once. This wasn't poetry. This was a weapon being aimed. And the numbers don't lie. Before Pep, Barcelona had gone 7 straight seasons without hitting 100 goals. After he dropped Messi into the heart of it, 100-plus goals, 13 seasons in a row. In 2009 alone, they won 6 trophies in a single calendar year. 6. They call that magic. But magic is an accident. Magic happens once. This was a decision, executed 10,000 times, with no mercy and no off switch. And remember the man from the start of all this? Mourinho? Even back in 2006, after Messi tore his Chelsea side apart at Stamford Bridge, Mourinho couldn't help himself. He called it theater. The man who built cages for a living was already applauding the escape. But here's the part the worship conveniently deletes. For over a decade, this so-called God was a punchline. They said he wasn't really Argentine. They said he was a flat-track bully, a king for Barcelona, a coward for his country. They said he choked, 3 lost finals, and that one word, penalties. That haunted him for 10 straight years. So, in 2016, after losing yet another final, the greatest player alive walked up to a microphone and quit, retired, done. The doubters had won. The fairy tale was over. Or so they thought. Then, he came back. Of course he came back. Killers don't retire. They reload. December 18th, 2022, Lusail Stadium. The World Cup final, Argentina against France. For 78 minutes, it's a coronation. 2-0. Messi has scored. It's over. And then, Mbappe wakes up. 2 goals in 97 seconds. Extra time. Messi scores again. Mbappe finishes his hat trick. And it all comes down to that one word. The word that haunted him for a decade. Penalties. Only this time, the script doesn't betray him. Montiel steps up, buries it, and Lionel Messi sinks to his knees at the center circle. He's done it. He's completed football. 21 World Cup goal contributions, one more than Pelé, the only man alive to win the Golden Ball at 2 different World Cups. So, roll the credits. The fairy tale finally got its perfect ending. The doubters quietly wrote their apology columns. Everybody goes home happy. Except, that's not what happened. Because here's what should genuinely unsettle you. Saudi Arabia offered him over 400 million euros a year to walk away quietly. Logical. End of career. Take the money, vanish into a palace. He said no. At 36, he signs for Inter Miami, a club that finished dead last the year before. The world smirked. Retirement tour. He won a trophy in his first month. By 38, he'd been named league MVP 2 years running, the first man in the league's history to do it. In March 2026, he scored his 900th career goal. 900, a number that used to be a typo. He has now created more goals than any player who has ever lived. At 38. And now, go back to the very beginning. 2003, a friendly between Porto and Barcelona. A 16-year-old comes on for 20 minutes, and on that touchline stands the man who'd spend the next decade trying to cage him. Years later, Mourinho says it, flatly. Every game, he looks like he's getting better. You thought it was a compliment. It was a forecast. The man who tried hardest to stop him understood the truth long before the romantics ever did. And that first cage, the one his own body locked him in at 11, the skin that refused to grow. At 38, that same body is still obeying him, still scoring, still winning, still refusing to break. That's not a fairy tale. That's a verdict. So, now, it's your turn. You've heard the case, you've seen the evidence, and you get to be the judge. Here's the only question that actually matters. Was the humble little genius always a myth? A costume thrown over the most ruthless competitor this sport has ever produced? Or am I wrong? Am I just tearing down something you needed to believe in? Don't be polite about it. Drop your verdict in the comments and defend it. And before you type the name of the other one, yes, I know, make your case. I'll be reading every single one. But if you can stomach one more uncomfortable truth, I've already ripped the myth off. Right here. Same courtroom. No mercy. Courts still in session.